the dumbest anti-Semitic hate crime. In a disturbing turn of events, Ruba Almaghtheh, I don't know how to pronounce this last name, Almaghtheh, I apologize, aged 34, deliberately drove her car into a building in Indianapolis, incorrectly assuming it to be a Jewish educational institution. The target, however, was called the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, a faction or subsection denomination of the Black Hebrew Israelites, and recognized as extremely anti-Semitic by the Anti-Defamation League and labeled as a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. This act of aggression was motivated by her reaction to news coverage of the Israel-Hamas war. She admitted to police that she acted out of anger, influenced by her perceived connection of the building to Israel due to the symbols and signage, including a Star of David-like emblem and the term Hebrew Israelite. At the time of the incident, the building housed several adults and children, so adults and children were inside the building, amplifying the potential for harm. Charged preliminarily with criminal recklessness, her misguided attack highlights the dangerous consequences of misdirected anger and critical need for combating the rising tide of anti-Semitism and other forms of hate-induced violence. So, let's provide some backup for those who are not aware. So you might not understand exactly. So she basically attacked a building by driving her car into it that she thought was a Jewish school, but it's not a Jewish school. In fact, it's the building belonging to what I believe is a cult that is actually some of the most anti-Semitic people I've ever interacted with. So, and again, even if even though the Israel School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, this Black Hebrew Israelite school, is an anti-Semitic group, that doesn't justify attacking them, right? I want to make that clear. Like, just because an anti-Semite ended up attacking another anti-Semite, that doesn't make it okay, because those people inside were innocent civilians. They were just minding their own business inside their own community building when someone tried to drive a car through it. So that's completely unacceptable. That is an attack. That is an assault. It doesn't matter that their views are as hateful as hers. That's unjustified. So I just want to make that clear. But it's just so ironic. And yeah, Devin is saying, so oopsie, wrong people. So for those who are not aware, there is a movement that started in the United States called the Black Hebrew Israelites. And it's a very complex movement. It started its roots almost 100 years ago. And there's many different denominations, and they each kind of have different beliefs. And apparently I've read that not all of them are anti-Semitic, or some of them have actually given up the anti-Semitic views. But I have personally interacted with a lot of BHI groups, and they are actually the most anti-Semitic people I've ever met in my life, like in person. So I just want to make it clear that there are some people that are like, oh no, they're not all that bad. I'm going to just talk very broadly. So this is a movement that essentially believes that Black people are the actual Jews, that the people that we know as the Jewish people are actually essentially fake Jews that stole their identity from them to then do all the regular conspiracies that you hear about. And some of their beliefs include that basically Black people, Latinos, and indigenous people of the North Americas are actually the 12 tribes of Israel. And essentially, I remember speaking to one group where they believed that the transatlantic slave trade was God's justified punishment against the African people for losing their covenant with him, which was horrible. Like, I'm standing on the corner of the street, because if you live in any major American city and you go downtown, you will probably see these guys standing on a street corner yelling, screaming hate speeches at anyone that walks past. They are the most racist people I have ever met in person. They would tell me to my face that when the time of revelation comes and God gives them the opportunity to create their kingdom on earth, that they will RAPE me and then smash my babies' heads against rocks. And I'm just like chilling on the street corner downtown talking to them like it's casual. And wow. To be fair, when they were saying this to me, I actually wasn't afraid, but I just want people to like understand how extreme some of these groups' beliefs are. The most anti-Semitic things I have ever heard someone say in person to my face comes from these groups. I literally cannot repeat on YouTube what they call the Jewish people. The people that we know as Jewish people, because they think they're the real Jews. And so in their practice, they incorporate a lot of, or appropriate, however you want to frame it, a lot of Jewish tradition or a lot of Jewish behavioral worship into their customs. And so they use a lot of emblems that look like Jewish emblems in their imagery and their costumes and their culture and practice, so to speak. And so that's why this lady thought that this school was actually full of Jews, because they had a symbol that looked kind of like two imposed Star of Davids with some crosses in it. And that was enough for her to go attack that building, which is absolutely insane. I have a few more things I want to add, but Armin, let me get your reaction first.
Do we know, this is her picture, by the way, do we have any information about her background, like beliefs? Like, does she have any part of any radical groups? Was she consuming any kind of content online?
There wasn't a lot of information available about that at the time that this happened. And not much on her background has come out since. I mean, she was charged.
By the way, guys, by background, I mean ideological background. I hope people don't think I'm trying to figure out her, a country
ethnic
of origin
background,
or stuff like ethnic background, country of origin. I'm talking about like whether was she exposed to alt-right views, Islamic views, Christian views, any views. Like, I just want to see what drove her to do something like that. So we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the New York Post reports that she was allegedly under the influence of medication when she did this, but the New York Post isn't the most credible. Okay. And but what's so crazy is she's like 34 years old. And based on the reporting, like if there's someone that has a criminal record, that will be documented and mentioned in reporting because that's public record. That's easy to find. So I'm assuming that she had no criminal record. And it's so crazy to me. This woman is 34 years old. She went this far through life, probably worked really hard, probably had a career, probably went through difficulty to complete education and reach various milestones and markers in her life. And it's kind of strange, but that was the first thing one of the first things I was thinking about when I heard this. I was like, this is such a crazy way to throw away your life. This is such a crazy way to throw away your life. Just deciding one day to drive into a building you think houses Jews screaming free Palestine. You've just decided that your life and everything that you could achieve is over. You're like, you know what? It was a good ride. I'm going to throw away all my accomplishments and just become a pariah to society because I decided to do an anti-Semitic attack. And also, and I'm just really glad that no one was harmed. Because even if this group that she did attack are, anti-Semites, I don't want the children that are in that building to be harmed.
Yeah.
That would actually be legitimately really scary for that group. That's still them being attacked and blindsided out of nowhere.
Exactly.
So it's so wild. It's
All right, so
it's one of the dumbest things I've heard in a long time.
I know it. Yeah, but okay, so we got a new member from all it needs to be a smaller name, but it's good. It's good. All colors are. What is this? Why is this so long? I'm just gonna
Entombed.
say why. Okay, what does that mean? I'm just gonna call you all colors. All colors is just became a new member, so thank you.
Yay! Thank
And
you. Welcome to
yes,
Satan's
and
Minions.
thank you for being a member. And Noman just used his 16-month membership to say 16 months. Let's freaking go. Okay, good. Thank
Oh, I
you, Noman,
just
for
found
being a
some
member for 16
information.
months.
According
Mm,
to the Associated Press, she is a Muslim from Jordan who became a U.S.
wow.
citizen. She has no prior criminal records. Her attorney says that he was not aware of any ties to Palestine, but that the Saturday before she had been watching a quote constant barrage of news about the war in Gaza and became overwhelmed. Um,
Mm,
and there was a person who watched her do it. A man who had been sitting in a car outside of the school building told police he watched a woman put her car in reverse and back directly into the building, as the affidavit states. He told the police he went to check on the driver, and she immediately began ranting, yelling free Palestine, and accused him of sending money to keep her people oppressed.
her people. Okay. Jesus Christ. Um.
I
Okay, so
wonder if
this
she's
goes
a
back.
Palestinian from Jordan, because that might make sense. She's talking about her people, or maybe
Mm,
she's just speaking more broadly, since obviously there are a lot of Palestinians in Jordan. I don't know.
mm. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on. Oh, we got another super chat. Oh no, not super chat. A 1 month membership by Sid saying a woke Indian American couple also got fired. Oh, I didn't know.
Were they, I'm guessing that they were probably tearing down pictures of kidnapped babies. Because I've
Mm,
seen a lot of people getting fired for doing that. And people need to realize I saw there's a group in the United States that I love. They're called the Foundation for Individual Rights and Education. And basically they protect free speech. And they put out a video saying, if you're tearing down these posters, that is vandalism.
mm,
They weren't taking a position. They're just saying, if you're doing that, that is vandalism. Our First Amendment rights, at least here in the United States, give you the right to put up your own posters. If you
mm,
don't like those posters of kidnapped babies and children and grandmas, you can put up your own posters countering it with whatever you think actually happened, if you can dispute that this happened. But if you're tearing down someone else's speech, that's actually vandalism. Um,
mm,
which I thought was really interesting. It doesn't matter what side you're on, so to speak, that's vandalism.
mm. Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.